Good evening, and happy Monday. Welcome to Mondays Beyond the Mic. We just want to say good evening, Cole. Say good evening to the people.
Good evening, everyone. We hope you're having a wonderful Monday.
Yes, and we already have one of our favorites in here. She said, let's go. Let's
All
go.
right.
Yes.
Hey, Antoinette. Hey, Anae.
Hey, Anae. So, again, welcome to Mondays Beyond the Mic. As you know, and if you don't, if you're just joining us for the first time, Mondays Beyond the Mic is the space where we go beyond the surface of relationship topics. We speak from our personal experiences, so we are not professionals. Disclaimer that we always put out there, but we always share our stories in hopes that it will help someone move forward, push past their pain, seek therapy, whatever that looks like for you. So again, thank you for returning. Thank you to for those that's joining in for the first time. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. Again, personal disclaimer. We just speak from our relationships, what we've been through, the trials, the errors, the ups and downs, and we talk about all things relationships. House rule, we have one specific house rule that covers everything: respect. Everyone's opinion will be respected, everyone's opinion will be valued. So we thank you for being here with us. And before we continue to keep going on, or I keep going on, let's greet some of our followers. And, we call this the commercial break. If you're here for the first time, when we go to the comments, this is our commercial break. So this will be the first commercial break for the show.
Cherie said, Hola.
Hola.
Shalonda. I hope I'm saying it right. Good evening.
Shalana. Good evening, Shalana. Good evening. I actually wrote about Shalana and Voice Built.
Okay.
That's one of those
Well,
divine connections. We met in the beauty parlor, and it just all that's a whole nother story. But thank you all for being here. So tonight we are talking about gas lighting. Interesting, right? So before we know now, social media this day and age, everything is gaslighting, gaslighting, gaslighting. But what we decided to do is put some history behind it. So the term gaslighting originates from the 1938 play Gaslight, also known as Angel Street by Patrick Hamilton, which was later adapted into films in the 1940s and more famously in 1944. Now, the movie is about a husband manipulating his wife into thinking she is losing her mind, making subtle changes in their environment, and insisting that she is mistaken or delusional when she notices them. Is that not crazy? So it's like he literally set out to make her crazy. So
uh-huh.
gaslighting is not a new thing. So what we're gonna do? Let's talk about gaslighting and social media. But before we continue to go on, as people are still coming in, calls. Is there anything you would like to ask me? And while she's formulating her questions, we got the topic. We know what gaslighting is. Y'all know this platform. We like to interact. So if you've ever been gaslighted, drop it in the comments so we can share, or stick around later so you can come up on the panel and share with us.
Okay, before I ask the questions, I'd like to let you know we would love for you to like, share, subscribe, and give us a super chat. All right? All right. So, gaslighting on social media can be creating a false narrative, such as deliberately spreading false information about someone to distort their reputation or make others doubt their credibility. So, what are your thoughts on that? Has it ever happened to you um, on or off social media?
Not so much on social media, but like we said, this is all things relationship, but actually in a relationship. Now, I talked about this relationship before, but apparently I've been through a lot, grown through a lot. I was, well, gaslighted. I guess he tried to gaslight me with a whole pregnancy. So how does that work? It's like you can't hide a baby. So I'm saying it is funny. So when I brought it up,
It's funny now.
Yeah, it's funny now. Back then it was like kill everybody. I didn't kill anybody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't kill anybody. Don't come for me. What happened was when I brought it up and brought it to attention, you know what that response was? Who told you that? Why is that important? Who told me? Is it true? No, this is crazy. Like it's
Wow.
irrelevant who told me. And the funny thing is, to this day, he still never told. I still never told him who told me because it wasn't important. Let's get
Right.
to the issue at hand. And then after that, it was a whole car. Ninja, what we doing right now? So that's my gaslighting story. Go ahead.
So you were saying he didn't answer the question, but instead he bought you a car.
Yeah,
Is
it was
that
a
what
whole,
you're saying?
yeah, the car and the dad came. And y'all know my mouth. I'm like, what your father supposed to do? Again, is the lady pregnant? That's what I need to know. But of course, and I'm like, well, you can't hide a whole baby. This the part I was so confused about. How we do hide a baby? But anyway, that's my gaslighting story. Do you have one? Have you ever been gaslighted or anybody tried to gaslight you? Y'all can talk to us in the comments. Y'all just
I'm
gonna
trying
leave
to
us
think,
out here.
just like from a social media standpoint.
Hmm.
Probably, if so, I probably didn't catch it. Only because I don't really dive into social media like that.
Hmm.
Well, no, I take that back. I think
Okay.
yes. I remember some email making a comment that I knew was supposed to be kind of towards me. And when I read the comment, I was like, "Is she talking about me?" And of course, the first thing is you want to type back, right, and get back. And just wisdom said, I just deleted her as a friend, so it didn't matter
Hmm.
what she said. I didn't know.
Right. You didn't fall for the bait.
Right, I did not. I did not. But the first reaction was to respond. Well,
Hmm.
no, the first thing was to react. And then I took a minute, as we talked about before, the power and the pause. And I paused and was like, okay, think this through. Because I, especially with things like that, I look at who has more to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Absolutely.
I feel like if I feed into you and we start a battle, then I just brought you to my level. So if I ignore you, you stay with your same audience.
Absolutely. And park you right there and let you be comfortable. And it's funny because even looking at this topic, we always, not always, for the most part, I can say for me, just thought about gaslighting in terms of relationships, which
Hmm.
we will get to, but not in terms of relationships with social media.
Right.
Okay,
Oh.
so let's move on.
All right. Rewriting history. The way is deleting or alternate or editing previous posts to change the narrative of past events, causing the victim to question their memory or perception. So has that happened? Has that happened to
That
you or
hasn't,
anyone in the comments?
well, it hasn't happened to me because I really post. If y'all know me, I'm not a poster. But I have heard of instances where someone has seen a post. And it's like, well, let me get this to you. And it's like, wait a minute, it's gone. And then they go back and it's there. It's like, but this is not what it said. So it's like, oh yeah, what's the message being put out? Now I can say working on social media, I have put up posts, but not in terms of to gaslight someone. It was an error that had to be corrected. So it's in terms of how you look at it. It may not always be gaslighting or trying to throw somebody off. In terms of when I did it, I posted and I was like, oh, okay, there's an error there. Let me take
Okay.
it down and repost it. So that's the flip side of it. It doesn't always have to be a negative.
Yeah, I think I would say just stay away from the computer when you're angry.
Say,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think because I think a lot of times, we're people, we post or we start writing. It's like typing that email when someone says something and you like, oh, really? And then you got to look and be like, delete, 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 and not send
Especially
because it
at
can
work.
right. because it could you be in HR, it'll cause a bigger problem than what it really has to be. So I do think that that's an important piece of it, to be able to look at what it is, acknowledge what I'm feeling in the moment, and not respond or not react to what's going on, or how I think the person is trying to make me feel, or interpreting that, but then taking responsibility for my actions and saying, no, I'm not going to go there with you.
Yeah, it goes back to what we talked about in one of our shows with emotional intelligence. It's still needed on social media. You can't just react. Well, you shouldn't just react to everything. Again, to your point, who has more to lose? So let's take a commercial break because we have a comment.
Antoinette says, my list can go on, but I have been definitely made to feel like what I see, I'm not seeing, and what I know, I don't really know. No social media craziness. All right.
And that's good. And I wonder to Anne, how did that make you feel? Because that's someone actually telling you what you see you didn't saw.
You didn't see.
And for me, you didn't see. And for me, it's like I got 4 eyes because I wear glasses. Like I just saw that. No, you didn't. It's like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on right now? And see, for me, that takes me to another level because then I think you're trying to play on my intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
Well, I think it goes back to the definition when you started talking about the movie, right? The husband was moving things around to make the wife think she was seeing something else. And that's exactly what can happen. Someone posts something and then you're like, no, I know I just saw this. And then they go and they take it down, or somebody else tells them you should take this down. And then they do it and you can't find it. And you're like, no, I know I just saw this.
Right. Right.
Gaffy Place says, hello, all. Hello, Gaffy.
Hello. So Aunt Anne is letting us know.
She said, it pissed me off.
I know that's right.
Tried to make me feel crazy. And I think that's the goal. That's the goal, to see, can I push those buttons? And I think that's where we have to begin to think of
Yeah.
ourselves, and start second guessing myself.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think to ourselves, back to the emotional intelligence, I can't get caught up in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Because I have too much to lose.
Right.
The people don't have anything to lose.
It takes 1 second for you to lose everything over something that you go, man, if I really thought this, I could have paused and took another route. And I think that's a part of the gaslighting. If even going back to that original, the movie, right? If the movie's saying, the husband's moving your environment around, you're like, I know, I left my keys here, or I know that wasn't here before and then it's gone, or whatever. Or you start to doubt yourself. You start to lose confidence in who you are as a person, your ability. And to have someone intentionally do that to you, and then when you find out, your initial reaction is like, oh, I'm gonna get you.
Mm-hmm. That would be mine, just being honest. You want to play, we gonna play. Jesus, I'll be right back. You want to play, we gonna play. So yes, that would be my initial reaction. So that's great. Thanks for the comment. So on Instagram, curated reality, posting highly curated and edited photos that create an illusion of a perfect life while privately manipulating someone into feeling inferior or questioning their own life choices. And we have talked about this before. I've heard this so much, and how individuals get be in trouble in their relationships, I should say, because they are drawn into the illusion of what couples are putting out there, that they're so perfect, that is all together. And that's an illusion. That's what they're creating for us to see, not even thinking of it in terms of gaslighting. And then the other person now is putting the pressure on their partner because of the illusion that they saw. What do you think about that?
I mean, I definitely, I guess I've never had a relationship on social media. So personally, that's not something that I've dealt with. I do see how that can affect a couple, because you're like, oh, look at them, relationship goals. and not knowing
Right.
what fight they just had to do before they snapped and changed their clothes 15 times on the vacation. That's probably the only time they were together, right? I do think you have to, when you're thinking of relationships and social media, you have to create your own world of what that looks like for you. And also, I know it's talked about, like in some relationships, somebody will say, well, why don't you post me on your Instagram, or and vice versa. I just think that's not for everyone. And everyone has to understand, or that needs to be a conversation in advance, because then one person may feel like, why don't you post me? And the other person is feeling like, that's my private life. And what you see on social media is not, is my personal and my private and public life are two different things. And you keep your private life private. And if the other person doesn't agree with that, then that may be a big issue within the relationship. But that conversation needs to be had, because someone could say, oh, I see you posting everybody else, and that could be an issue when the person could be thinking, what I keep sacred, I keep private.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good point. And talking about this part right here, posting highly curated and edited photos that create illusions and the whole perfect life manipulated. I'm a big documentary watcher, and I saw this documentary, and I forget the name of it. It was about a TikTok video couple. They became famous. Long story short, she would get up there, beautiful, post and everything, but she was a victim of DV.
Mm,
But for the audience, everybody out there, oh, we want that relationship. Look how he treats her. But behind closed doors, look what he was doing. Right.
yeah.
So, what we're talking about tonight is gaslighting, and we're talking about where it originated from. It comes from a 1938 play called Gaslight, also known as Angel Street by Patrick Hamilton. And in this movie, the husband is manipulating his wife into thinking she is losing her mind by making subtle changes in their environment and insisting that she is mistaken or delusional when she notices them. So before we continue going on, because we have some newcomers in here, and Anne has another comment. Commercial break.
Okay. Antoinette said, absolutely. I wanted to go right for the throat, but I thought I had too much to lose. And that's, again, emotional intelligence, the power in the pause. Because at this stage in your life, you're like, I'm not willing to throw it all away. And I'll say this, I say there's very few people that I'm willing to throw it all away. And it's three that I birthed. If I'm going to throw it all away, it's going to be for the ones that I gave birth to. I'm not going to allow someone to take me out of my character, to stoop to their level, or get me to a place, as they say, that I black out. And then,
Right.
they got to mortgage the house, find everything. You got to do all kinds of things to get me out. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not worth it. Cherie says social media is not reality. And I think that's a big part. We all, like, I think about when I graduated, I was posting my graduation pictures, but I didn't post when I was crying because I didn't think I could pass the test, or I was crying because I was like, this is too much. So no, we post the end, and no one gets to see we don't take you through the process. We just like, okay, this is where I am. And sometimes what happens is people can get the false narrative of everything just seems to work out for you, not realizing the process that was not seen.
And even with that, it's such this culture, this day and age, it's social media, social media. So in certain aspects, I can see the pressure for the younger generation to want to post and follow what they see. We have another comment.
Cherie says, unfortunately, I know enough couples to know that people will put on a false narrative to try to make others believe their relationship is perfect. True.
Yeah.
And they're
And
like water roses when they get in the house.
and then again to the point that the culture and the day and the age that we and the population, the millennials and all that, they're seeing that. So even within that, they're being gaslighted, thinking this is great. All we have to do is do what Bob or Jane, I don't know where I got the name from. There's no Bob and there's no James. I am just throwing out names, Bob and Jane, right? We have to aspire to be what they do. We have to aspire to look like them. And it's not real. And
Yeah.
that becomes dangerous.
And I just go back to even social media and, you know, the images that are put out, the bodies and all of this. And after a while, and maybe it's just me, everybody starts to look alike. It's almost like one, like everybody went in the same factory and came out with the same.
Right. And it's crazy because to the point where us as women, I'm total heterosexual, but as somebody, I'm like, well, that ain't real. And it's like, why are you looking? But it's just right in your face. Girl, that ain't real. But I'm in my head like, okay, mind your business. That's what she wants to do. Then I also saw, I forget his name. He's a rapper, Jamaica, Sharif. I forget his name. He's on one of those reality shows. And he actually made a post. He posted a girl and he was like, see, BBLs are going out of business. Is nothing wrong with natural. And again, you're here. I have heard some men saying, no, they love natural. All of
Right.
that's too much. They'll play with them. Some like it. And to
Right.
each his own. Whatever your preference is, that is totally fine. But I have heard both sides of it. And men like, nah, I don't want that. But like you
But
said,
I'm
everybody starts look the same.
right. I think even talking about young people, right? So now they're seeing these like, oh, this is what's attractive. This is what's getting more likes and follows and so on and so forth. So now that whole, and I'm not saying that probably in our age group or whatever, people don't go through that, but I feel more for the younger generation with this because we did not grow up with social media. They have been inundated by social media
Mm-hmm.
and what people look like across the world. When we were growing up, it was people in your neighborhood. You was like, oh yeah, she. No, they could see people from anywhere. And now,
Mm-hmm.
if it becomes this one size fit all, maybe because I'm tall, I saw one where this guy actually was got something done to his knees so he could be taller, and I was like, that's a thing, you know.
Wait, I'm laughing because that was in Kevin Hart's comedy show. But
Oh,
yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing, I guess. And it does
right. And I was like, wow, like, it's so much that we're altering. Like now you got to look at people. It's almost, and now I know, scary to date because you're like, wait, I need to see your baby pictures. I need to see what you look like in high school. Were you really a guy? Were you
I
really a
need
girl?
the pictures when you was in the tub.
Right.
I need to see
Because
all
I mean, you see some of the things and you're like, oh my gosh, is that really? Well, that really looks like a woman, or that really looks like a
the
man.
illusion.
And again, to each his own, but you need to give whoever the other person is the information
Yeah, we
up
got
front.
some good stuff in here. Commercial break. This is a good one here.
Sharice says, my son is 25 and he says this is the worst time for dating. All the females want men with lots of money. They expect to be given everything and do nothing for the relationship.
Wow. At 25, at this generation, and I put money, a big part of that is because of social media.
Oh yeah. Well, look what he did. He flew me around the world. He did this, he did that, but you didn't say what you had to do for anyway. All right.
Yeah.
Um
At least
oh
so my part.
mm-hmm.
And before we move on to Anne's point, there's I was happy when I saw, I think it's K Michelle and I think it's Black China had those implants and stuff removed. And they shared the damage that it did, and they shared why they did it and why they took it out. So hopefully, some young girls took heed to that part as well.
Antoinette says, agree as Cherie. This is a very cosmetic dating pool. I will definitely pass. It's so sad. And now let's all say it's not everybody, but there, unfortunately, especially for the younger generation, this is what they see.
Yeah, and subscribe to. Hold on, hold on. Welcome, Mike. Hello,
Hey,
Mike.
Mike said, y'all getting risky.
Well, it's gaslighting. Now we're talking about gaslighting in relationships and social media. So we're gonna move on, right? So we're talking about gaslighting. So the next one would be manipulative captions, using captions that downplay or contradict the victim's feelings or experiences, making them doubt their own perspective.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry before you answer that. This is hilarious. Not in eyebrows.
She said, even thin eyebrows are coming back. All right.
Answer yes. Right. Let's get back to reality. And later off, I really like to hear from men that like natural. I remember walking in the Port Authority, headed home, and I had first cut my hair. Didn't know this man from anywhere. He literally wasn't being flirtatious or anything. He said, "Thank you, sis, for being natural." I had no idea that was a thing. Just to show you that there are some men that still like, that's a bit much. I like natural.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good point. So again, back to the question: using captions that downplay or contradict the victim's feelings or experiences, making them doubt their own perspective.
Hmm. I mean, I think again, social media, um, Instagram. I mean, there's a lot of things that you see, and some things I just say for me, I'll just kind of scroll past and be like, I don't have time. I don't entertain it. Or if you find yourself, you're like, let me get out of this because it'll take
Mhm.
you somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if I really have an answer for that one. Um, in terms of the gaslighting perspective,
Mhm.
yeah. So I may have to turn that one back to you or on
I
thoughts.
think we can do comments or we can just move on. It's just another form of it that we're bringing light to, but using captions to downplay or contradict the victim's feelings or experiences. Yeah. And people do make comments. People do get caught up in people comments. Like you said, just we know they are professional trolls out there, and all they want to do is troll,
Oh yeah.
right?
I,
That's all they
I
want to do is troll. So with that part, I think that can kind of link into that.
Yeah, I do think that someone can, let's just say somebody's doing their weight loss journey and they're showing their before and after or their process. They're not at the after or where their end results. And then people can take that. That's the one thing about social media. You say one thing and the next thing you're like, wait a minute, how did they come up with this? And it could make a person feel, it can discourage some people on their journey or in their process, because then they look at the social media. It's something I've heard like a lot of some celebrities say, like they don't even bother with social media because it can make you feel some kind of way when you like, these people don't even know me. And why would they say
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z about? Because people have an image of what they think they know or who they think you are. Um,
Mhm.
and especially for celebrities, that could be, whatever you conjure up in your mind is how you play out that person to be. And people can be cruel. And I find it's usually the people with the least amount of things to do will come up with the cruelest remarks.
And it's funny, before we move on, it's something Ann and I we talk about, and it's hilarious because you can post good morning and somebody can say, "What's so good about it?" Oh, excuse me. Like, what happened just now? All I said was good morning. And then it turned, like you said, responded. Then it turns into something else if you feed into it. But it could be a good morning for me because you don't know the day I had yesterday.
Right.
So just because it's not a good one for you, that don't mean to come make a comment under my post. It's like we're not gonna do that.
And I think even more so, not just under my post, how about on my page?
That part.
It's just like TV. If you don't like what it is, change the channel. Go to someone else's post or page.
Right. So I think
So,
what we should do now, I think let's just stir the pot. Let's stir the pot nice and early because we kind of got the backdrop on social media with false perceptions and illusions. So let's kick it off and stir the pot.
Never be held hostage. by the words I love you. Let me tell you why. Because sometimes that I love you saying to me ain't really you love me, it's you trying to manipulate me. I love you. You only saying that when you hurting me. How you gonna love me but you deliver those words every time you make me cry? As if making me cry is a part of love. I love you. Every time you make a mistake, that's what the first thing you say. As if the fact that you love me is enough for me to overlook that toxic thing or that hurtful thing or that harmful thing you did to me. I love you can be the most manipulative phrase in the English language because we always assume it's coming from a genuine place. No, a lot of times when toxic people say, I love you to us, it is a form to gaslight us into forgetting what they just did to us. But no, let's ignore all the hurt that we feel. Let's ignore all our discernment and our intuition saying that we need to leave this toxic relationship because that person said they love us though. They love us.
Okay, first of all, he felt that thing down in the pit of his soul. I think someone told him that, they loved him and they weren't being truthful. What are your thoughts before we go to the comments? What are your thoughts on that?
I do agree. I think because everyone wants to be loved. So that is the universal language. And if it's someone you like and they know that, the level in which you like them, then they can use love. I mean, when we think about DV victims, it was, oh, you make me, because I love you and you make me mad. It's intertwined. And then so the person starts to going back to the movie, right? Your mind starts to play tricks on you and saying, well, maybe if I just do this, then this wouldn't happen. Or vice versa, male or female, it can happen to. It could be someone who feels insecure and they're thinking to themselves, I'm going from a male's perspective. He now has, I'm using the cheerleader and the nerd because he's now put in this different arena with this woman. She's now gaslighting him with, I love you, whatever. And the intentions are not pure. They're not real. And vice versa. It could be the guy with the woman who says, I just want what you have. And, it can go either way. I just want what you have. And as a result of it, I'll say I love you because I know that's what you want. When my I love you really means thank you for giving me everything I want.
Did I not tell you the ninja had a whole entire baby? But I love you. Oh, really? Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, I'm so confused right
And I bought you a car.
Okay. Yeah, which meant nothing. But that's neither here nor there. That's a whole nother. Sure, let's take a commercial break.
Michael said gaslighting is a term used by the female population. We just heard a man use it to tell the world they are hurt. The reality is there may have been something there at one point and now it doesn't exist. Sometimes this is how life goes.
Okay, so to your point, from historical context, the term gaslighting originates from the 1938 play Gaslight, also known as Angel Street by Patrick Hamilton, which was later adapted into films in 1940 and more famously in 1944. He wrote the movie about a husband manipulating his wife into thinking she is losing her mind, right? By making subtle changes in their environment and insisting that she is mistaken or delusional when she notices them. So that's from a man who wrote the movie. And again, we just heard this, I'll say, brother, talk about gaslighting. So I don't think it's just a term used by the female population.
And it's also a term that is used in the workplace. People can say certain things and it's like, did you just gaslight me? So male or female. So it is a term that is recognized even in the DE&I community in the workplace. So Antoinette said, I completely agree. Those 3 words are supposed to soften the blow, but it doesn't justify the hit. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think people hide behind that word as well. And
And
then
then
in terms of, and here's a good one that I find myself often explaining. Saying you love someone and being in love is 2 different things.
mhm.
Totally 2 different things. So let's get down to, are we talking I love you? Hey, I love you. I care about you, or I'm in love with you. Either way, I do think gaslighting and either one is wrong.
And I think it's also a matter of, if you love me, you're not going to hurt me, because you're going to consider me, even to the extent before you consider yourself. I think of, as a parent, I consider my children. When I make decisions, it's not like, well, it's about me and they get in where they fit in. No, I got to say, well, how's it going to affect them? What are the thoughts? So on and so forth. And in a relationship, when you love someone, in love with someone, you want to make sure your decisions is inclusive of that person, and not, well, get in where you fit in, because then that's saying you're not considering me. You just feel like either you get on, or you either get on board or get out the way, because you made a decision
Mhm.
for what should be our lives without consideration of my life.
And also, I think another important factor is when we get into these relationships or we start to meet and we date and we're moving on and courting and it's graduating, but at the very beginning, at least understand what that person's definition of love is, because everyone's definition is different. For the one I often tell you about, his definition was buying and giving. That wasn't my definition, right? So everybody has a different definition of how they define love. So I
Mhm.
think that's an important key that us as individuals, when getting in relationships, we need to ask these questions. What's your definition of love? Because
And
mine
I
is
think,
not beating me and just buying me stuff and then disappearing for a week and then coming back to my ta-da, I'm here, but here's the bill money. I'm so confused right now because that's not love to me. That may be that person's definition.
but I think, to your point, we were not taught, or most of us were not taught. We saw what we thought was love, but many times no one sat down with us to say, these are the things you should ask. We kind of like, he cute, she cute, we gonna get together, we gonna work this out. I like him, he likes me, but no one taught you how to. If you think about it, and maybe it's just me, no one really taught us how to date, how, what love should look like. And I mean, yeah, you could see, like, I saw my parents, but my parents would is different than me.
Mm-hmm.
And not, yeah, my father told me some things. This is what you don't let a man do. This is what, so I got that information. I got the information from my mother. You're a young lady and women should carry themselves. But no one told you or told me, what should it look like in the communication? What should be the questions you should ask? So I've told this story, when I got married, I thought you just marry your soulmate and boom. And I didn't know what a soulmate was, but I thought, if he loved me, I love him, we're going to get married and it's just going to work itself out. Well, you see where
Right.
that landed, right? Because there was not conversations beforehand that, maybe, in all honesty, had we had, yes, we had marital counseling, we did all of that, but there was some things I didn't see, and I'm quite sure if he could say the same thing, there was some things he didn't see, that we didn't understand how to communicate that with each other then. So the
Mm-hmm.
26-year-old me walking down the aisle would have a very different definition than the current me. So there's some things I would have told her now, if I could have a conversation and say, no, these are the questions you need to ask. And these are the things you need to find out, because if not, you're going to end up in a place you don't want to be. But because we weren't, I wasn't taught that. I was not taught.
I'm going to leave you out there, friend. Even was I.
Well, yeah, so we were taught how you're a lady, you should be treated as such, those type of things. But no one said how, when the relationship, this is how you should communicate. People say pray. Okay, we prayed, but I still don't like you. So what am I supposed to do now?
Right. Let's take a commercial break, and I want to come back to what you were saying.
Antoinette says, correct, Coco, two different things.
Talking about love and being in love.
Antoinette said, absolutely, Elaine. Love truly isn't supposed to hurt, no matter the type of love being given.
Absolutely. And to your point, circling back with dating, right? And we're talking about the younger generation, and all they have is social media, to the point of my 25-year-old cousin saying all they want is money. And somebody, how much money do you think a 25-year-old has? I even saw, it was a post on social media, and the lady took a screenshot of her son's phone, all of middle school. And the girl's asking him how much money he has, what kind of car he's going to get. She needs money. What is going on? Like, you're 12. Go read your book. Go do your homework. So again, that aspect of social media causing that illusion. And I did drop the link for if anyone wants to get up and chime in 2 cents, 3 cents. Elaine, you was about to say something.
I'm going to shift to children in this, or young, like we would see, what's that? My Super Sweet 16. Remember MTV would have that?
Yes.
And everybody's like, oh my God. So now Sweet 16s got blown out the park because we got to have a Super Sweet 16. And recently on social media, I saw where this, is a Black mother. She surprised her son. I think he graduated from high school with a brand new 3 Series BMW. And he said, I didn't want this. I told you I wanted a 5 Series. I was like, whoa. And she was like, well, she was like, but it's a 3. You're not excited. I'm like, you trying to convince a 17-year-old? Oh, baby. He got boy. You right. You're not getting this. And just to see the ungratefulness of this particular young man to say, your mother bought you a brand new 3 Series BMW and you said you wanted a 5.
That car would have went back. He would have got them sneakers with their light up with the wheels on the bottom. There you go. You got to make a change. Put your left hand out. You got to go to your right. Put your right hand out. I'm just saying.
It just shows how, going back to the social media, imagine that even though that's a relationship between, instead of saying my mother worked hard or my mom really went out, your response to your mom is, I wanted a 5. I was like, wow.
Even with that, for her to even rational and true.
At that point, it would have turned into something else.
It would have got real different.
Real fast.
Yeah, and like you said, to the point, the ungratefulness, but then it goes back. It kind of even can tie into what he was saying in the clip about love. That was her way of expressing, right? Her love. And you don't love me because you ain't get to 7. How does that even work? And how old was he?
He was graduated high school, so 17 or 18, depending on when his birthday is, right? So just to feel like, and again, sometimes we give too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then the expectation is you got to keep the bar up. Because if I'm buying, and I know we're shifting a little bit, but if I'm buying my 17 or 18-year-old child a 3 Series and they're ungrateful for a 3 and want a 5, then what does that tell me? How have I been treating this child? that they feel that it's okay, and then there becomes this level of expectation that you're supposed to. So now I'm gonna take this young man. I mean, I don't know him. I'm totally speculating, right? Taking this young man, he gets into a relationship with someone. What is his expectation of the woman? Or if he's ungrateful to his mother, it doesn't matter what the young lady, let's say, he likes, he will probably carry over that same attitude with her.
Or expecting her to do. Or Carol,
Both.
what are you expecting from, okay, because is a woman supposed to take care of me? What does that, because that can snowball into so many things. What does that look like?
That could be one. When the woman's doing what she think is best by, like, I don't want that. So now you're hurting, because if you could hurt your mother like that, what would you do to someone else that did not birth you?
And let's even take that in terms of, let's take it out of what we talking about, 17-year-olds. Let's bring it into adulthood. For me, same thing. Baby, car doesn't equate. I care nothing about the car. I promise you I did. It was a Porsche too. It was a nice car. Like when they first came out. Yeah. But did nothing. Right. But I can say I do know of some women that suffices.
Yeah, because you've been trained for the material, for the things, and not for the matters of the heart. And I said this on a few shows ago. How many beaches can I see? How many vacations? How many diamonds could you buy? How many fur coats can you have? After a while, those things become like, okay, put it over there. All right, thank you. Put it over. So that excitement is not the same if all I wanted is you. All I wanted was your attention, your affection, your true love for me, and you keep putting a price tag on it. I mean, I'm gonna say like J-Lo when she said, "My love don't cost a thing." So I think, yes, you may. No, let me speak. I like nice things. However, at the end of the day, the nice things are not going to be the thing that connects to your heart. You know, you're not gonna be like, "Oh, let me go sleep with this fur coat."
Only thing is it'll keep you warm, but yeah, that's not the first.
But that's not gonna. You can't have a conversation with the chinchilla
at all. Now, if it talks back, you might need to get rid of the chinchilla. I'm just saying, if the chinchilla turns around and starts speaking back, you might want to get rid of it or give it back to the person that gave it to you. Whatever that looks like, because the chinchilla shouldn't be talking at all.
So I think that plays a big part in it all, is being able to say, how do you balance out? Because, you know, sharing an ice cream cone with somebody that you love is better than, like I said, you could be on this great island, as we talked about, the perfect couple, and they're taking all of these wardrobe changes, but after they finish, they can't stand to be with each other. So the vacation is a disaster because you don't want to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to ask you, and I'll follow as a question. Do you think, and I'll play the video again so we can listen and hear it. For me, some of the things I can hear him saying is that love is being used as a weapon. Right? So let's just do it again.
Will never be held hostage by the words "I love you." Let me tell you why. Because sometimes that "I love you" saying to me ain't really you love me. It's you trying to manipulate me. I love you. You only saying that when you hurting me. How you gonna love me but you deliver those words every time you make me cry? As if making me cry is a part of love. I love you. Every time you make a mistake, that's what the first thing you say. As if the fact that you love me is enough for me to overlook that toxic thing or that hurtful thing or that harmful thing you did to me. I love you can be the most manipulative phrase in the English language because we always assume it's coming from a genuine place. No, a lot of times when toxic people say, "I love you" to us, it is a form to gaslight us into forgetting what they just did to us. But no, let's ignore all the hurt that we feel. Let's ignore all our discernment and our intuition saying that we need to leave this toxic relationship because that person said they love us, though. They love us.
What? And my point is, for me, and it's just a question, how can something, that four-letter word, love, that's meant to be so beautiful, right, be turned into a weapon? What are your thoughts?
Because as human beings, we all have the need to be loved. And
Mhm.
depending on where you are with your self esteem, because we have people with high self esteem, low self esteem, and no self esteem. And depending on where you are on your self-esteem level is the level in which someone can manipulate you. Love is an action word. If you love me, you will show me that you love me. And it doesn't mean material things. It means just thinking of me during the day. It doesn't mean when you want something, because love will make you go above and beyond yourself. Genuinely,
Mhm.
when you love someone, go out of your way. Maybe I'm driving home and I say, oh man, there's this just bakery and so likes this. I'm going to make that stop. It's not your birthday. It's not Christmas. It's just because someone brings you flowers. See, and I'm going to use this. If you bring me flowers on Valentine's Day, I'm not impressed because the whole world just told you. But when it's not my birthday, it's not just because I feel a certain way about you, or I'm calling to check on you to make sure you're okay and I don't want anything. There's some phone calls we all get and we go, what they want. And there's some phone calls we get, we'll answer right away because we know there's nothing that they want. And those are the people that we would give anything to because they care about us and not what I can give to you. And I think just to kind of go off, it's like almost the relationship that we can have with God. I want seek the face, not what's in your hand. And a lot of times people want what's in your hand or what's in your wallet or what's in your pocketbook or how can I, it's winter time. Like they say, it's cuffing season. People gonna need a
Right.
place to stay. Like
Next
you
week, too.
don't, you don't love me. You love what I can provide. Maybe it's the roof over your head. You don't love me. You love the fact that I can provide a meal. You don't love me. You like the fact that maybe you need somebody to watch your kids. So it's not love. You're using me.
Mhm. And so
So
what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm off kilter, what I'm hearing you saying in all that is love is a sacrifice. Because if you really love someone, you are going to do for that person without hesitation. You're going to be there for that person without hesitation. Sometimes helping that person may mean sacrificing something for yourself.
from a different place, because sometimes, yes. So I'm going to say yes, but I think it's also in clarity just to make sure, because a person could be sacrificing for someone who does not love them because they're at a
Absolutely.
different level. But in the purest form, it's reciprocated. It's not one way. And if you're saying, well, I'm always doing this, I'm always doing that, I'm always doing this, like, wait a minute.
There's no reciprocity.
Absolutely.
How am I the only one giving? But I can see the other side because I've heard this before too. When the message has been clear on either side, male or female, I don't want the relationship. I'm not ready to be in a relationship. This is not where I'm at right now. Right. But the other party keeps sacrificing and doing things,
Then that's on you.
expecting that person. That's my point. That's why I said I heard the other side of it. And that's just like, no, let's be very clear. And it's something that we talked about on the other show. I believe it was Soul Ties with Bravo with Sheila. And we all said this. If he does not tell you you're his girl, if you're not. So it
We
doesn't
just
matter what
friends. You
you
just my
do.
brother. You my brother in Christ
Right.
now.
Right. Pray for me. Hallelujah. Glory. But to that point, I find I've often made those conversations, had those conversations with people. Did he tell you that you were his girl? No.
Right.
Okay, so you can't get mad. You can't get mad because he was very clear. Now, again, to a point you often say, us as women, we at the marriage, we have planned it out, what color our dress is, how much weight we gonna lose, are we gonna wear hair, what hour we going to. We have figured that whole thing out.
And
And
he hasn't even
again,
asked you out on a date. That's how far we can go.
he always like, what are we even talking about right now? How do we get here? Look, you ain't meet the man mama yet, but you want to play in the West. You are
And your
at
mama
the
gonna wear
finish
light pink? No.
line. Right. So absolutely. So any comments? Let's see again.
Yeah.
What should they be doing, friend?
Oh, like, share, subscribe, super chats we like, or stickers.
Click. So this is what we've been talking about, right? Gaslighting. Any comments? Any concerns? And again, we want to hear from y'all. If y'all have been gaslighted, don't be ashamed now. Y'all been talking all this time. And if not, listen, we can close the show. I think we said a lot of information. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
I definitely think if people have something to say, or I know we dropped the link if someone wanted to come on and talk about it, but if not, I think I agree.
Okay, we can wrap. We did very good tonight. We can actually wrap it up. So again, before we close out, I would just like to say with gaslighting, it can be male or female. I would say just look out for the signs. And in addition to that, just watch who you give your heart to, right? Watch who you consider being in relationships with. Watch to see if they're actually genuine, right? Co-host, what would you like to say?
I would say first understand how you feel about yourself and where you
Mhm.
are with love, with you. Because a lot of times we often hear that statement, my better half. Become
Mm,
whole before you look to be with someone else, because if you only have, you'll just look for somebody to fill you up as opposed to coming filled and ready with your whole self and your fullness of who you are, to then have a
mm,
proper exchange, and or to notice when the proper exchange is not happening so you can exit stage left. So if you're half, you will gravitate to anyone to make you full, versus if I'm
mm.
already whole, then I know when it's not for me, and stage left, like in the words of Beyonce, to the left, to the left.
To the left, to the left. Good point. So we thank y'all all for being here. As always, we could not do this without you. So thank you for tuning in. You could have been anywhere on your Monday. We know Mondays are hectic at work for most of us. So thank you for tuning in and giving us your time.